I'm in the process of putting together this new table saw, and Banggood actually sent me an email wanting to send me a whole bunch of little items. I said, you know, actually you have a couple of really nice items on your website. I'd prefer to just get a few really high-end items than a whole bunch of cheap items. So they said, sure. Well, they've sent me a couple of items, so let's see what we got. So first thing I have is a indicator that you can go into your miter track that will either test my blade to make sure my blade is square, and then also I can set up my fence to make sure that my fence is square to the miter track. We've got this real nice indicator here. You've got 4 pins that go into your miter track. Now these pins are adjustable. You got an Allen wrench that you can bring it in and out, but I don't know if you can see this, but these pins, they push in, they're spring loaded, got a real heavy spring, so that way whenever I put them down here in my track, put them down, and now that thing is solid, it's not moving anywheres, but yet I can still move it up and down. All right, so what I've done is I've put a little mark right here on my blade. I'm going to slide over so that my point is right there on my mark. I'm at 0 here. So I'm going to slide over to this side of my blade, and then I'm going to bring my mark. That was my mark right there. And I am about, this is 0.01, so we're down almost 2. Now this is millimeters, not inches. If you're, again, not familiar, you can just run a converter. So 0.02 millimeters is actually 0.007 inches. So that's 7/10,000ths of an inch. So definitely we are accurate enough for a table saw. So I want to make sure that this is giving me an accurate measurement and it's just not bouncing back and forth. So I've placed a mark right here at the bottom of my gullet. I'm at 0. So as I rotate this blade, and now this is a full curve Freud blade. It's a very, nice blade. And now look, we're up here 22 thousandths of a millimeter, and I'm rotating it down. So that means that this blade is actually out just a little bit, but now bring it right back to where I started. Bring it right there on my mark, and then I'm right back there, almost dead on 0 again. So if I can move this and it give me a different measurement, and then I bring it right back to where I was originally measuring from, and I'm getting the same measurement every time, then that tells me that this is definitely accurate. This is extremely accurate. So I was about to buy a pair of these. They were, I don't want to get into exact prices, but the company I was going to buy them from raised the price about $60, and I seen these. Now I can't pronounce the name of them, but man, I tell you, this is to give you a little secret. I went ahead and opened this box up and looked at them, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with these things. These are hold downs that will go onto your fence that help keep your material tight up against the fence, and the quality of these are absolutely superb. Now I have seen a pair of the name brand ones, and the name brand ones don't have this little lock on the end of them. This little knurled knob right here, and what that does is that keeps you from being able to pull them all the way out unless you want to. But other than that, the spring, everything seems to be almost identical, with the exception of the name brand ones has a 1-piece rail and this has a 2-piece rail. So let's get these installed and see just how well they work. I got lucky on this. The little rails, I mean, they fit perfectly right in between my fence here. Like it was custom made just for this fence. Now this is a Delta T-square fence, but even if you don't have a Delta T-square fence and your fence is a little bit narrower, this comes with pre-drilled holes for wood screws, and it also has these threaded bolts. Now these threaded bolts are 6mm. Just luckily enough, I had a set of metric drill taps, and I don't know if you've ever used a drill tap, but man, these things are wonderful. You know, gone is the day where you have to drill a hole and then go get your tap and then try to get your tap in there and not break it. Man, these little drill taps, you just chuck them right up in your drill. You go like you're drilling the hole, but once it's drilled through, then the threaded portion drops in and it's all in one step. Now there's 6 bolts that go into each one of these little half rails. So it's a total of 12 bolts that you need to be threaded and tapped. And I looked at the timestamp on the video. It took me 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And that's with me walking around, blowing out all the little shavings and, from start to finish, mounting this thing. You could not have mounted it any quicker. And I'm telling you, I just cannot get over the quality of this product. Like, this is the little piece that runs in the track here, and this is solid steel. This is a heavy piece, and these little knobs, these are knurled stainless steel, and I mean, that little knob is a heavy little knob. It's definitely, they went above and beyond on the quality. I mean, every bit of this tool is just, and then the precision of the way it rides in the track. Definitely, I don't know how you could get a higher quality product. So now these things, the way they work is we loosen them up here and we put down to where it's touching our board here, and we'll do the same right here. So we get these adjusted. So you want to make sure that you are, well, it really doesn't matter, but we kind of want to be sure that we're before our blade and after the blade. So what we would do is we would get our wood lined up where we want it at, we lock our fence down, and then as we push this through, these are one-way bearings and they catch that board and bring it in to the fence. So like if you was to come in and your board is actually, I'm going to push this way away, but you see it carries it straight into the fence because these are on a slight angle. So even if you don't line up properly onto your saw, it's going to catch it, force that into the fence to keep you up here like a feather board. So let's see just how much force these have. Alright, so I'm going to hook this little pull scale on here.
Good.
So now I can put more pressure on these if I wanted to, but if you see there's a spring up under here, so even with that down, these can come up. So this is spring loaded, and you can press these down a little bit more if you want to get greater force, but according to the manufacturer, just set them right underneath there, and that's giving us about 35 pounds to pull that back out. Now that's going to keep your board against your fence, but also if for some reason you have some tension in the wood and it was to try to catch on the blade, it's going to dampen any kind of kickback. We're not saying it's going to keep a kickback from ever happening or stop a kickback, but it is a great safety device. The reason I bought these was because I almost lost 2 fingers and I couldn't afford a saw stop. And these and a riving knife will almost eliminate any kickbacks whatsoever. Go ahead, look these up on Banggood and save yourself a ton of money because you're not going to find any better quality. And if you have any kind of doubts, order them. And if you don't like them, you think the quality is less, send them back, because I guarantee you there's nothing that you can find that's wrong with these. So save you some money, buy you some more tools, and I'll see you next time.